Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to an Eagle Eye podcast. This is episode 16. And as you guys can see by the title, we will be recovering from that wound that was not being able to beat Monterrey. Of course, we'll be talking about the Lainez show that was Saturday, and we'll be talking in preview of what is to come against Puebla. So, without further ado, as always, let me introduce my co-host, Mr. Dylan Jimenez. Dylan, how are we today on a Monday?
Yeah, Monday, and guys, just get that out there. After this week, we'll go back to Tuesdays for sure. I just needed my last thing I needed to get done out of the way on a Tuesday. So no, but everything's good. Everything's going good down here in the big state of Texas.
Alrighty. So as you guys can hear, confirmation that we'll be back on Tuesday next week. But today's a very special episode, and not just because it's episode 16 and we've made it so far, but we have reached yet another accomplishment in the world of Twitter. We have, and give it a round of applause for every single one of you guys, we have reached 200 followers on Twitter. And that means, as we did promise, we will be giving away a couple of things, and we will tell you that briefly, and we'll let you know exactly how it is that you can enter in this. But yeah, first of all, we want to say thank you. Huge thank you to every single one of you guys who have followed us, whether you were one of our very first followers, or whether you were one of the brand new followers. It doesn't matter to us. We thank all of you, because without you guys, this wouldn't really be a possibility. Of course, we just want to create a community. We just want to create something for you guys, and to see the response, to see the growth of this, it's been absolutely phenomenal. So let's keep it going. Let's keep it growing. And of course, with that will come many more giveaways. So Dylan, anything you want to tell the public?
Just thanks, guys. Like always, bigger and better things to come. Me and Ivan got a couple ideas that we're cooking up right now in the oven, and we're gonna pull out those batch of cookies, and we're gonna hope to bring it to y'all, and y'all enjoy it. And so just stay tuned for more. Like I said, this is actually the first full season that we actually got through. For those that kind of been around whenever we started back in November, it was the end of Apuntura, and here we are doing the whole clausura. So it's great. Like you said, none of this would be possible without y'all. So thanks again.
Thank you to every single one of you guys as well. Not the best baker, I'll put that out there. So do not trust me with your cookies. I just probably go to Stater Brothers and buy some. But we can't say thank you enough to every single one of you guys, and to everyone really that's helped us grow, that's kind of has a bigger platform in this league community, this Liga MX English community. Thank you so much for kind of giving us that boost, kind of giving us that support, because ultimately it's helped us. And at the end of the day, thank you to every single one of you guys. But we will keep you guys waiting no longer. We're going to be talking everything that happened Saturday's very, very embarrassing 0-0 draw at the Estadio Azteca against Monterrey. We'll be talking a little bit of transfer rumors if we can conjure up any. I see that some of you guys are asking Fernando Torres to America. Well, let's see if let's see. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about whether or not we think that's a viable option, and then ultimately we'll be looking ahead at Friday's matchup against Puebla, a very important one for us if we want to cement our third place position. And then we'll give a little bit of a shout out as well to the women's team today, who are in search of their first ever title. They're going away at Tigres. So without further ado, Dylan, are you ready for this?
Totally ready, man.
All right, let's jump in and let's talk what happened on Saturday. Of course, everyone that watched the game knows the frustration that me and you both are going to be talking about, because it was a very, very frustrating match, because of course we were one man up from minute 30, I want to say. It was just a mess, that the fact that we weren't able to get even 2-3 clear chances of scoring. It's ridiculous. But without further ado, let's talk about it. Dylan, ultimately 0-0. You were covering this live for everyone on Twitter. Ultimately, what was the feel of the situation?
I think around minute 20, minute 25, I think I fell asleep and then wake up to the final whistle at the end of the game. So and you can kind of see it was a bit of a snooze fest too. There's not really a lot of clear cut chances that we really had that I can really remember. I think there's only one that I can truly remember, because I was so frustrated that it was Uribe who had that shot, that pass from Lainez, And you think Uribe, with the chance that he has, he could put that on target in the back of the net, but obviously that goes wide of the post, which it's not what you want to see. It's just very frustration. I mean, it didn't seem like this team came together and played at all. It just seemed like this team um, didn't really have the energy, had the flow, the rhythm to go forward that much, really. And this was a great time to show it that a top team too against Monterrey. I mean, you see what we did against Tigres. Arguably the better side. Whenever we played Tigres, we should have walked away with those 3 points, but we didn't. And there was a clear-cut chance too. Possibly we could have walked away with 3 points here against Monterrey too, especially in the house and a man up, but we didn't. And so that's what's frustrating about it.
I think everyone walking away from this is ultimately angry at the team because there just seemed to be no will to go forward. It just seemed that everyone was kind of a bit sluggish. I mean, the only brightest player that we had on the pitch was a 17-year-old by the name of Diego Lainez, who was absolutely amazing, very phenomenal, very amazing. And there's some people that will criticize that, he was just being flashy, but I think ultimately, this player was being more than just a flashy player on the pitch. I think he was there to disrupt the defense as he did so. I mean, he proved that he could do so and cost the red card, Yeah, and I think also he was kind of the spark of the team. He was kind of an engine going forward. He kind of just maneuvered himself very well. And the more he got the ball fed, the more he kind of grew into the match. And we'll go into this a little bit further because I think the fact that in the second half, he kind of just disappears, not because of him, but I think because of the team itself not providing for him. But strictly speaking, first half, I think the kid was amazing. I mean, you even saw him run back, win back balls. I'm not saying he had the best game of his life, by far. I think he could still use some improvements here and there. But, whenever he picked up the ball, he looked like he was the best player on the pitch for us. He looked like he was the most dangerous player going forward because, quite frankly, he was. So, I mean, that was the only plus side to this. Everything else was a little bit of a bummer. I mean, formations wise, I thought we thought we were going into a kind of a 5-3-2 formation, but it just kind of seemed all over the place at times.
Yeah, I mean, Linus drew 6 fouls out of the whole game, 6 fouls, and so it shows that he's going out and like doing stuff. And Monterrey didn't really have an answer for him in the first half. 14 out of 24 duels won, 4 out of 5 dribbles attempted. He completed 4 of them, and so it's something that you didn't really see from a lot of players either. Not necessarily nothing against Lainez. I love Lainez. Lainez is doing Lainez things, but it's kind of sucks to see that you're having to see this creativity and all this from a 17-year-old person, when you see the talent that we have. And yeah, I know he's in because of injuries too. He hasn't got the playing time like everybody wanted, but still, at the end of the day, whenever you have an Mateus Uribe, you're gonna have Uribe Peralta, Andres Ibargüen, and then you have Renato Ibarra subbed in. I mean, at the end of the day, you're gonna want to see that of them, not from a 17-year-old kid.
No, yeah, I agree that has to be the most, kind of worrisome part that, a kid with, only really a season under his belt can outperform some of these players that have years of playing in different teams, in different leagues, and in different situations. So that's the most, frustrating part that, it has to take the 17-year-old to kind of push the team forward when, really he should be learning from everyone else instead of, dragging them along.
Yeah, and what are you gonna do, man? I mean, like we've talked about it too in the last podcast. It's just seeming like it's the Aventura all over again, and it's not what you want to see from the team too as well. Whenever you see this team knowing what they can do and what they have been doing too as well, and it just sucks to see that. And I like we said, Diego Lainez not really the best player on the pitch, not having the best game. I think it constitutes to being the whole team. I don't think we're playing as the team that we can and just playing as the team, like as 11 players on the pitch. It didn't really seem like we had 11 players on the pitch at times.
No, yeah. I agree with you, and I want to bring up a point that I'm seeing here in the comments saying that it feels like the midfielders are not connecting with each other. When we were kind of solidifying the whole Guido Mateus Uribe partnership, I feel like maybe it's dampered down a little bit. I don't know exactly what do you think is going on, because I feel like that midfield used to be the spine of our team, kind of, drove the team forward and kind of solidified everything. But now it seems that, it's kind of up in the air whether or not that these guys are connecting.
I mean, what can you really say though? I mean, you can probably blame it on a couple of things, whether these teams are kind of like bonding in a way that these teammates really know each other, or have they grown apart from each other? Have they been doing these things in the training ground whenever they go to training? Or could you say too that the CCL has really affected the way the team performs in the midfield too? Is that? And so there's a lot of things that you can say too as well to that. But as of right now, it's kind of up in the air too. But as I've seen it too, I mean, this midfield is not the midfield that we've seen at the beginning of the season.
No, it's not. It's not at all. You know, um, I feel like we can track this back a little bit more in the sense that I feel like if you kind of look at how Pio Herrera's managed this team, I feel the fact that he's moved a couple pieces a little bit too much more to maybe some of us, to some of our likings, that maybe that's disrupted the play as well. You think that's fair enough to say?
Yeah, I think so. And you know, should Piojo really do that? I mean, that's on him too. I mean, this is the guy that's in charge, but you know, at the end of the day, we see the midfield we have. It's just what's Piojo saying to them, what's Piojo doing different too, whether it be in the training ground or what, to make it go away.
Now, and I know a lot of people are going to be saying, well, look at the fact that, we got three major players out because of injury, Menes and Cecilio and Henry, and that's fine. We were expecting injuries. That's why we got this kind of roster. That's why we said we feel happy with the fact that we have this depth, that we were happy that, the team looked like a full team. And in those scenarios, you would have imagined that this would have been the best option, and we would have still been good enough to beat a 10-man Monterrey side at home, like you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, and like you said, you see what Matias Uribe can do. You see what Renato Ibarra can do. But is he getting consistent whenever you're going forward? It really seems like it. It's really seems like teams are figuring out quickly. And so that's something that's got to be fixed too, as well, is because you can't just keep doing the same thing over and over and over. You can't just be going through the same player over and over. Like Renato Ibarra, Renato Ibarra gets the ball. He doesn't necessarily always cut inside, but when he goes outside, it's always a cross in, and you can't just be giving the crosses in every time.
Yeah, yeah, and I want to bring up another point that our good friend Topic here is bringing up in the group chat. Um, he's saying that he's noticed that during some of the plays, some of the attacking plays, that there's a lack of movement of strikers, which means that there's a lack of creativity in opening space and opening the channels for set wingers to kind of run into, or midfielders to kind of fill in those spots. And I'm glad he brings this up, because it's something I really wanted to talk about. Is we don't really have that strike force that kind of will open space, kind of the way like Raul Jimenez used to do, or kind of what an Oribe Peralta 2 or 3 years ago would do. Now it seems that we're very we're very just kind of there. There's no real movement from our strike force, because let's be honest, even though we were kind of told a lie that we were playing with two strikers, honestly, I felt like sometimes we didn't even have a striker, because Oribe Peralta was dropping so deep to receive a ball to just kind of shield off, and Ibarwen was kind of not there to kind of fill in that running gap. And it just seemed very messy from us, and it seems like we've been very messy going forward.
Yeah, and it comes back to, like we always keep saying, our mindset and our intelligence in the final third doesn't really seem to be right where it needs to be too as well. If anything, it's either stayed the same or it's digressed a little bit too as well. And like I said, you're not really seeing that striker, like you said, Oribe obviously coming back as times, and sometimes in the game too, it looked like Oribe was playing as a Camini Bodiwin was the striker at times, of what it seems like to me, because that's how far Oribe drops back too. And that's just something that's going to be addressed too as well. I mean, you obviously see Oribe in the decline too. Henry Martin, obviously out for 3 weeks, but you've seen him declined too, and there were some rumors that he's asked to leave the club too, and you're not left with nobody up top anymore too. If all these things are true.
I agree with you. Two things here. Now, our good friend Garrett here says that there's just not a lot of chemistry right now, in his opinion, and I think in everyone's opinion, they would agree that right now this side is not a side that looks like it has a very much chemistry. There's I think like he's mentioned and we've mentioned a lot of times. There's no finishing up front. Whenever we get these slight opportunities, for example, the Matias Uribe one should have buried it. At the first asking, didn't do so. You know, you kind of have to wonder, we have these chances, we're not taking them, and now it's starting to look like we're having less and less of them, So now it's really time to kind of reflect and see whether or not that these players are capable of doing what they're asked for, And then of course, also another good friend of ours, Christian, Menace will bring creativity, and I think he will bring creativity. I think he will kind of, bring that kind of passing that maybe an extra rhythm, something different from this side to this side. But we can't just rely on Menace coming back and kind of flipping the whole team perspective. It just doesn't seem like it's gonna work that way. It just seems like we're relying too much on the usual play. And then the usual play is when Renate Ibarra's on the pitch, play to him, let him try to take one or two players on and kind of cross it into the box. That's not really viable at this option. That I've mentioned this time and time again, especially to you and off air as well. We don't have a target striker. We don't have a true number 9 inside the box. We don't. I mean, there's no one that can go in there and do the role of a Raul Jimenez, or because there is no kind of player right there, and it kind of sucks. Now you would have wished that Benfica would have loaned him for at least this season, because trust me, if he was on the pitch and we were playing that whole Renato Ibarra cross it into the box, I promise you we would have had plenty of goals by then.
Let me go ahead and read you some of the stats from the game too.
Okay.
I'm getting this off from SofaScore. So we led in possession the whole game, 60-40. We had a total of 17 shots, but only 3 of those shots were on target, with 82% pass accuracy. And so whenever I see this too, I mean, there's no shots. I mean, we went from having all these chances against Toronto to not finishing, and then to where we see the lack of creativity, we see the lack of chances we're creating really to them being on target, and they're down.
There's only 2 clear-cut opportunities that I have in my head. There's actually 4, but 2 of them were offside, and Oribe Peralta still missed them. One was the one from Mateus Uribe, who from the Lainez pass, and then the second one is in the 91st minute, where Eduardo Diaz kind of heads the ball, but Hugo Gonzalez does well enough to kind of get their save and then kind of parry off to the side, and we get a corner off of that. But that's pretty much all I have.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't much there. I mean, at the end of the day, too, it was pretty much of a snooze fest. So, I mean, the chances weren't really there. The snooze fest.
How much credit can we give Monterrey?
I mean,
because there will be people that will say, well, it's because Monterrey handled the game well. They sat back, they defended well. They, Mohamed kind of out tactic Piojo, this and that. But I don't look at it that way. I think that Monterrey weren't even playing that good.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I mean, they just completed 73% of their passes too.
Yeah, so
I mean, really, you can only remember like one counterattack that they really had was really good.
Yeah, and that was pretty much it.
Yeah, and Monterrey, you would expect too, if Monterrey were to sit back and park the bus like we've seen other teams come in that they can do, you would think they would kill us on the counterattacks, but they didn't even do that.
No, that's why I kind of think, again, the only real people we can kind of blame is ourselves. Again, we've let ourselves down in a situation where, again, time and time again, we could have had the 3 points, but because of our, I guess if you want to call it ignorance, to not really, put the ball into the back of the net, we're kind of left with these options. So you mean
Yeah, yeah.
go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead. No. Go ahead.
No, no, I was just kind of gonna close out my thought with which is we can't keep going like this because it's just ghost of the Apertura past. We're struggling to score, and then we're gonna go another game without scoring, and another game, and then it's gonna be boom, the Apertura all over again, where we get knocked out because we weren't able to score, and we let in a lot in the back.
Yeah, and it's just a really bad time. So close to the get too, and like you said, up until this past, I mean, it's the same thing going to repeat itself, and it's a really really bad time at the moment for us to be doing that, and then for us to get played with injuries too as well. I mean, it's not something that you really expect.
Yeah, yeah. Consistency is the word of the day, and that is something we have lacked in these past two tournaments. A consistent run of play, a consistent, uh, just as a whole unit. There's not been much consistency. You start off the season good, middle of the season you're doing well, and then you're trying to close it out, but you kind of end up going into a slump, and you can't do that. You can't burn out in the most crucial moment. And I think that's something that we're gonna have to look forward into the next tournament. Luckily we'll have kind of this World Cup to kind of, help us in that sense, but ultimately we need to do better.
I mean, yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to, man. I mean, um, CCL's out the way. I mean, so I mean, the only thing you got to focus on now is just going and getting the next title, man. I mean, that's all that matters from here on out.
Yeah. And I just kind of want to, quickly just wrap this Monterrey talk with this. Um, let's talk second half briefly because I want to bring up a point that was mentioned in the group chat a little bit right now, and that was the fact that it looks like we're relying so much on that play that I was telling you about. Renato Ibarra, speed, takes 1-2 players, crosses the box. You know that we are so heavily kind of reliant on this because as soon as Renato Ibarra comes into the pitch in the second half, that is the end of Lainez's day. He does not receive a ball at all. He just looks to be just isolated on that left-hand side of the field. And Monterrey kind of noticed this, and they don't even bother to mark him anymore. Lainez is in acres of space, and there's maybe 2-3 opportunities where America has the ball. All they need to do is play a simple switch across the pitch, and Lainez is in all free territory. And because of that, because we don't utilize that, it's just kind of like now we're playing with 10 men. Because if you're not utilizing this player, you're not bringing him into the game. And mind you, he was the best player on that pitch. For you to isolate him like that, I mean, I have a feeling that maybe this is the team itself, or maybe Piojo's instructions like once Ibarra is on the pitch, make sure you give them the ball. Always to Ibarra, always to Ibarra, always to Ibarra. That doesn't seem to be the right choice.
No, I mean, not at all. I mean, it's figured out, really, man. I mean, the times we've seen Iwata do Iwata things, I mean,
And yeah,
it's just
it's not to take away from Ibarra.
yeah, no, I mean it's not. It's just like you said, like if Piojo was like once Ibara's on the pitch, give it to him, and let him do his thing. I mean, it's just there's that lack of creativity, and it's just lacking from him too. If that's the case, because they're not seeing it come from other players, they're not seeing him tell players what to do differently or anything. I mean, at the end of the day, the tactics come down to Piojo too. What Piojo can do to get us back into the game, but to get us ahead in the game, depending on what the situation is at the time. And so, it's up to him too to switch, whether it be formation, whether it to be make changes, to get that creativity going, in which we see him fail to do too as well.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, although you can't really criticize Piojo this game because I think he did. He tried to bring on as much attacking force as he could. It just worked out that the fact that we just weren't creative enough to make these chances, and the fact that we weren't creative in the second half was because our most creative player was left isolated, and because of
I,
that, guess what? Now we're left with a problem. It was as simple as just switching the ball to Linus, and I promise you, we've had one or two other options to have scored a goal.
no,
And
I mean,
go ahead.
I know we talked in the last podcast when we previewed the Monterrey game. Obviously we know the bench was thin. But one thing I noticed too is that Piojo didn't use the third sub. You think the third sub could have made a difference? I mean, was there somebody that you would have wanted bring on any chance that could make a difference?
Well, who could have you brought in, to be honest?
No, I mean, yeah, I get what you're saying too, but I'm just saying, like, you never know. I mean, the third sub was never used.
I mean, because I look at that bench and there's no one player that I'm like, yeah, he can go out there and score a goal. I mean, at the most you can say maybe Joe Corona, but I mean, his game hasn't always been the attack. His game has been more about kind of holding the midfield.
Yeah. No, I get it. I mean, that's just something that I wanted to point out is the third sub wasn't used. I've kind of preached to him, not to Piojo personally, but just saying like Piojo doesn't make the subs at the right time sometimes. He makes subs late. Just the fact that he doesn't use the third one. I mean, yeah, the bench is thin. You don't really look at it and say one person can come out and make a difference. But I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, what do you got to lose to?
No, that I get that, and it's interesting to hear him talk about after the game in his press conference to say that he's like, "What do you mean? There's a downfall in our game?" He's like, "We were clearly the better side on the pitch. The ball just wasn't going in." But I mean, that's got to be the most worrisome part. It's now been a couple games now that the ball's not going in. This is not just
Yeah.
something that just randomly happened in 90 minutes. It's something that's been happening for a while now. If you have not yet to address this, and if you yourself have not yet to be able to see this issue, then this is going to grow into an even bigger problem even later stages of the season when we're talking Liga wise. So now it's like, well, what are you going to do to fix this? And really, what is he going to be doing? Because, I mean, we're left with very little options. We'll talk about them when we preview this Puebla game, but it's going forward. It doesn't look very good for us.
Yeah, looking back right now, I'm looking back. We haven't scored more than one goal since we played Taru in Panama,
Yeah,
and that's whenever we scored 3 goals. I mean, after that, it was one goal, one goal. That's not even counting the Tijuana friendly they played in San Diego. After that's just one
yeah.
goal. Oh no, I lied. It's the Cruz Azul game. The Cruz Azul game, we had 2 goals.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean, still, even that, it's worrisome because it looks like we're going in a drought again.
Hmm.
Again, it's repeat. Again, there's no consistency. I mean, just what's going on. Some people will argue that some of these players are just fatigued, that they need their rest, that some of these players are tired, they can only run for so long, and granted, some of these are older. For example, Rio Peralta, you could imagine maybe he's kind of feeling it a little bit more than in his younger years, but still, it's what you're getting yourself into. You knew what the calendar was going to look like, and you kind of had it in your head that you were kind of going to be up for this.
Yeah. Yeah, I get you, man.
So I mean, just tell me, what do you think options going forward should we do?
I mean, at the end of the day, too, man, you got to think, Menez will probably be ready too. So I mean, do I think Menez is going to start? I mean, we'll probably get into that too a little more, but at the end of the day, I don't think Menez is really going to be starting against Puebla. I think he'll come off the bench more or less. But still, I mean, you're still dealing with injuries. You're still dealing with, um, just the lack of the creativity still that we send. So I mean, really, I mean, not really anybody to turn to because nobody really seems to be stepping up to be that player on the pitch.
And that's the most worrisome part because there's
Yeah,
only one player out on that pitch that's kind of doing it.
yeah, and it's really not the person that you would expect or want to. No disrespect to that person, but still.
No, yeah, yeah, I agree, and there's gonna be plenty of more talk about this going forward, especially after the Puebla match, regardless of what the score is, regardless of what whether or not we get Menes back, because ultimately we still have a Liga, and if we really want to be title contenders, we can't be looking like this, and we can't be playing this poorly.
No, I mean, something's got to give eventually, man. I mean, they either want it or they don't. And I sure as hell want it. You want it. Everybody that is listening to this wants it. I mean, just again, it comes down to Piojo with his tactics and if the players execute that.
Now I'm curious to ask you this because I feel like this is a question that that maybe is a bit too early to ask. But I know many of us will maybe start panicking and start worrying and maybe think that we can't be title contenders and this and that. If it was up to you and the season's over and we don't get a title, whatever, and whatever the case may be, what do you think? What is your idea? What is your solution to this? How do we fix this America side?
We sell the whole club and rebuild. No, I'm just kidding. No, no,
No, I'm
no,
curious because
definitely, no, no. Yeah, no, I'm just messing around. But man, you got to figure out what's going to happen with Uribe. I mean, even though the guy has signed a 2-year extension at the end of the day, man, like you got to figure out what this guy's going to do if he's going to keep performing the way he is. Obviously, we're going to bring in a new striker. We're going to bring in a new striker. That's the first thing we're going to have to do, man.
and
Is
left
bring
back.
a new striker. Yeah, yeah, I know, and a left back
Those have to be
definitely.
the like main priority. Like they're equal in priority.
Yeah, both equal priority, man. But at the same time, you gotta watch to see which players leave if some players do leave, because if say like Bruno Valdez was gonna leave, I mean, yeah, you got Edson, but you probably say you got Carlos Vargas too, but at the end of the day, I don't want to bring in another left center back too as well. So I mean, it's just gonna to me it depends on if certain players are gonna want to leave, if the players to bring in too, such as a left back, the striker. I mean, that's all it's gonna come down to as well.
Not only ask this question just to ask it because I feel like it's too early to ask this question. A lot of people will jump into this and be like, we need this, we need this, we need this. Like I get that. We don't have that right now. We kind of have to focus on what we have and kind of look forward and build upon that. But it's just a question to see kind of where your mindset is at because I feel like a lot of people will agree with you at this point. I see right here in the comments that people are asking that we need kind of a playmaker as well. Someone that can that kind of makes it because a lot of us thought maybe Mateus Uribe could be that, but he isn't a quote unquote playmaker, and neither is Guido. Let's be honest. He's more of that central defensive mid that I will he'll kind of cover the midfield, kind of be the one that kind of runs it and holds it down, but ultimately he's not the one that's kind of putting in those kind of killer balls and all that stuff. So we do need a playmaker in that sense, and the playmaker that could take a free kick. Let's just put it that simple too.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of stuff that we can that we can do to rebuild this team, and hopefully they the board and the team people, the officials that kind of are in charge of this, seeing this, and Piojo can see this as well, and they always tell us that that we're always working on it, but this and that, and they kind of have to stop giving us excuses and start giving us results.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that be in the transfer market or in the pitch as well. So I mean, I'm looking at this side and I'm thinking there's an opportunity for us to do something here. We just kind of have to strap in and kind of ride the wave. And ultimately, that means giving this Lainez kid the opportunity to be free and run around and do what he needs to do. He'll create chances. And I promise you, he's also going to look, very rookie-ish as well. He's going to give up some balls. He's going to look, a bit foolish at times, but ultimately he's going to be able to create something as well because he kind of brings an extra spark to a playing style. I see that they mentioned that we need a structure, and I love that word structure because I feel like there's nothing more important in a team than structure itself. He goes on to mention that there's more of a unique play style rather than just relying on the wings, which is something that I've mentioned to anyone who's talked to me about America, that we do this so much when we look so predictable at this point of the season. All they need to do is just kind of man mark Ibarra, and then they kind of close us down. I think I think our identity cannot be that. I like the word structure because it means that the team has more than just one option. The team is fluid and the team can be creative and can think on their feet. That's the most important part. I want my team to be able to create an opportunity even when the number one tactic is being blocked out. I want them to be able to pull a rabbit out of their hat when the situation is called for. you know? And that rabbit out of the hat can be Lainez. Lainez can be that player. He can do something completely different. When people go and try to mark him, he is so unpredictable to these players that there is no that they're kind of just, relying on their kind of natural instinct. But even then, Linus is so good at reading the body movement of his defenders that he just takes them on with an ease. And then you can look back at that clip, as I've done plenty and plenty of times over, when he takes those three Monterrey players on. You can see the way he kind of moves and kind of just sways away from the opposing players. He knows which way their bodies are moving already. He's so quick to maneuver himself that he can just in an instant switch and kind of break their hip in that sense. So he can do so much for us. And I think going forward, hey, give the kid, the wheels. At this point, best case scenario is he leads you to the title. Worst case scenario is he crashes the Bentley, and you got insurance for that at least.
Yeah, yeah, I can agree to that, man. But at the end of the day, like you said, it's a little early too. But definitely the striker and the left back is the main things I would focus on when it comes time. Other things we can address whenever those things happen too as well.
No, yeah, I completely agree with you. So we'll kind of just wrap it up with the Monterrey game 0-0. Frustrating just all around. All around. The fact that we can't even create a really good opportunities against a 10-man Monterrey side, well, I guess it just kind of sums everything up, doesn't it?
I think so. I mean, you look at the stats too, and it sums it up too.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people will say, the stats don't tell the true story of the game, but for this game, I think it speaks perfectly of what happened.
Yeah, I think so too.
So ultimately, that is the Monterrey review. Just not good enough. Just not good enough. America leads. America leaves the Estadio Azteca with a 0-0 result. That fortunately for us, Tigres and Cruz Azul drew, so that means we're still in third place. But we can only hope to keep that if we get a result on Friday. And by result, this time I actually mean a win. So it should be interesting to see how the team copes with the pressure, because of course, being in a third place position, that puts you in a pretty good spot. You never really know what might happen with first and second, and you can't always be so sure with fifth or sixth. So I think we're at a pretty good position right now.
Yeah, no six though. Top five, dude. It's gotta be top five.
Yep, top five. I would love to stay in that third place position. I think that's actually the perfect place to be.
Yeah, I agree with you too. I would love to stay at third place, but I say top five because that's what I expected at the beginning of the season.
I expected a Conca Champions and a league title, but at this point, I'm starting to look like I'm not going to get any of those two. But we can't give up hope. We can't give up faith. We can't just be so ready to throw in the towel because, of course, we are America. We are the best team in Mexican soccer. So even when our backs are against the walls, this is the moment to prove that we do not go down without a fight. And that's all I want to see. I want to see a fight. I'm not saying it's going to salvage our season, by no means necessary. And even winning the league title doesn't, kind of erase the embarrassment that was the Toronto defeat in CCL. But ultimately, I want to see this team perform. I want to see this team get better. And it starts by this Friday. And before we get into that preview, again, I want to remind you guys to follow us on Twitter at Eagle Eye Pod. If you haven't done so already, make sure you do. And now is even more of an opportunity for you to go and follow us, because we're going to be doing a giveaway. So if you don't even have a Twitter, this could be more of an incentive for you to go and get one, because then you guys will be able to enter in our raffle. And Mr. Dylan, what is it that we're going to be raffling away? Can you tell the public?
We are going to be doing what I am going to finish up on Photoshop. Is we're going to throw our logo on a phone case, and it's going to be designed for your phone. And so we're going to have that. If you want later, whenever I finish it up, I will actually post what it could possibly look like. I'm going to do it kind of on an iPhone looking one, but if you have a different type of phone, doesn't have to be an iPhone, we'll get that for you. And so I'll put that out later on the Twitter page, and so be looking out for that. Yep.
And we will also be giving away another scarf. That's right. We'll be giving another scarf away for you guys. Winter is coming, even though we just left it. You can always use a scarf.
Yeah. No, I'd definitely take a scarf too if it was me.
I go in at like 6 in the morning, so it's still cold. So I mean, I could always rock a scarf. So just saying.
No, not here, man. It's already like 70 degrees in the morning.
Yeah. Well, over there again, over here too sometimes. But we will be giving away a phone case and a scarf to one lucky follower, and that follower just might be you. So if you're listening to this on iTunes or SoundCloud, I urge you to pull over and to go follow us on Twitter at Eagle Eye Pod. Again, that is at Eagle Eye Pod. And then, of course, if you do follow us, you also get the great content that we post on there. We talk everything Club America. We're always keeping you guys up to date with news, injury reports, game stats, everything, live tweets, all of it and more for your convenience. So, as always, do not forget to follow us. And if you guys ever miss a live show for whatever reason, make sure you guys do follow us on SoundCloud and subscribe to us on iTunes. Because again, if you miss a live show at any time, you can always take us on the go, and then you don't even miss out. So you'll be up to date with everything. So, is that everything we had to say?
That's everything.
That is everything. So make sure you guys do follow us on Twitter. Kind of excited. We're gonna be giving about a week and a half for people to follow us and get ready.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, and then make sure you guys do kind of keep you guys yourselves for any more announcements in the giveaway. So one of you guys lucky listeners will be able to walk away with a phone case and a scarf, completely yours for free. And with that said, just another big thank you to every single one of you guys who have supported us, because without you guys, this community, this family wouldn't be what it is today. And all I can see is this thing growing into something even bigger. So thank you to every single one of you guys. We wouldn't be able to do this without you. So now, with that out of the way, let's talk Puebla, because for those of you who have nothing to do Friday, well, now you do. America's playing Puebla in the Estadio Cuauhtémoc at 7 p.m. Pacific time. That is 9 p.m. Central time, 10 p.m. Eastern time for our friends over there in the East Coast. Am I correct, Dylan?
Yes, 7 for me, and so 8 for East Coast. Yes.
Wait, it's 7 for you?
Yeah, it's 7 for me.
5 for me.
Yeah, it's 5 for you, 7 for me, 8 for people on the East Coast.
Oh, wow. Well, then excuse me, because apparently I do not know how to check my phone. It is 5 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Central time, and 8 p.m. Eastern time, like you mentioned. So pretty early game. So that means that, you can go home after you get out work, watch the America game, and after the America game is done, you can go out and you can go clubbing. So, you get the best of both worlds, courtesy of Club America. So obviously we're going to be facing off against our former goalkeeper and hero, Mr. Moises Munoz.
Who's also going to be a commentator for the World Cup, Fox announced.
Yeah, that's actually huge. Me and Dylan have always talked about that. One of our, kind of big name hosts for like players. We've always wanted to get Moises Munoz. So, well, who knows? Maybe now he's going to be here in LA. Wait, is he going to be here in LA? I would imagine.
I would think so too.
Okay.
It's a really good question. Yeah. We'll find out something sooner or later.
Yeah, that's true. We'll figure it out. Either way. So we're going up against Puebla, against former America goalkeeper Moises Munoz, against a very good Puebla, I want to say. Not the best Puebla in history, but obviously a very dangerous one, and especially at home.
Yeah, I mean, you see what they beat Tigres in the opening of the Clausura, so I mean, they got some tricks up their sleeve.
They do, and they don't look like the side that would, but I mean, it's phenomenal the what they've been able to accomplish. Obviously, are they still in the run for Liga?
Yeah, I think they're about like 4 points out, maybe.
4 points out.
So like a win. They definitely need a win Friday to really still be in the running. So I mean, they're fighting for something there. I mean, it's pretty close for them.
It's pretty close for them, which means
let me double check.
That look, everything's on the line at this point. There's only 2 games left of the season. That means that regardless of what happens, you need to go out there and play your best football. There's no need for you to be like, well, there's a game that we kind of, could have, drew. No, we got to go out there and we got to win. I see a couple of people saying that maybe we should rest some of our key players, field in a weaker side. No, we can't do so. Not at a very, very, kind of detrimental stage in the season where that these last 6 points are so crucial. So crucial. It's unbelievable how crucial this game is. And, you need to go out there and you got to win.
Yeah, I mean, not just for America, but for Puebla too. I mean, I'm looking at it now. They're 13th. We're 17 points, and they're 4 points away from the 8th spot. So mathematically, they're not really out still. I mean, this game's a lot to them too, whether they're gonna make the Liga or not.
They're still going at it. They're gonna fight till the end. And we should be worried because this is a team that's gonna be going. I see that they've mentioned that Puebla has received 10 goals in the last 2 games, so that should be that should be a good sign for us. But whenever we come up against oppositions that look so easy to score on, they're usually a little bit tougher to score on when we play against them.
Which is really weird and probably something that has to do with me because I have a feeling that teams I support somehow be doing good and they go south whenever I start supporting them. So there's another conspiracy theory.
Here's another one for you. Damn, I just blanked out. Never mind. I'll come back to it whenever I remember it. But we're going up against Puebla. Yes, you look at the track record and it looks pretty bad, and it looks like America's the most favorable side here. But look, at this point of the stage, they're going with everything. They can't risk, kind of conceding 6 goals again at home the way they did against Pachuca. So they're coming at this with everything they got. And Dylan, you mentioned a great stat before we went online. Tell me exactly our last 5 games against Puebla.
The last 5 games against Puebla, we've won none, we've drew 4, and we lost 1.
Against Puebla, ladies and gentlemen.
Against Puebla, yeah.
And this has not been a Puebla that has made the Liga year in and year out. So what's going on?
There's no telling what's going on, man. I mean, it's just, at this point, this match can go either way. I mean, history is doesn't really seem to be on our side at this point. But I mean, like you said, it seems like the teams that we should go out and really score and get the 3 points, it doesn't happen. Puebla's on, I think, like a 4-game losing streak, 5-game losing streak.
Yeah.
But in the end, that doesn't really mean anything.
It doesn't, because guess what? Everyone plays their best against America. Because everyone wants to beat America. And apparently we just can't seem to cope with that.
No, I mean, yeah, we've seen it in the last 5, like I just mentioned. So I don't know what the deal is, man.
Well, hopefully we can go out there and field a good game. I have a pretty good feeling about this. It's a Friday game. Anything's possible. I think hopefully Moises Munoz will do us another favor and make another mistake on purpose or not on purpose, whatever you want to call it. But ultimately, I just want to see us go out there, score a couple goals, and that's it. I don't even want us to play that pretty. I don't even want us to be fielding some Joga Bonito out there. No, all I want is to put the ball in the back of the net 2-3 times, and that's it. Let's wrap it up. Call it a day.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, the ugly wins, you're taking it. I mean, I take the ugly win right now, to be honest. And so, I mean, if we go out and we get dominated in possession and, we don't really dictate tempo, but we walk out with a W, I'll take it, man. I really will.
I will too.
And so, yeah, I mean, it's that point in the season too, where, everything counts. You're going to have to do good too. But I mean, it's too close to the year, like we said, to not being able to score goals.
Exactly. Let me see let me hear your preview lineup for Friday.
My preview lineup. Okay, so we're gonna go with Marchesín in goal, Barguilad, Bruno, Aguilera, and I'm gonna go with Carlos Vargas at the left back. Renato Ibarra at the right. I'm gonna go ahead and go Diego Lainez on the left again, with Guido and Edson at the CDMs, and then I'm gonna probably put Ibargüen behind Oribe Peralta. So pretty much the same lineup, really, that we had against Monterrey, except instead of Da Silva, we'll have Vargas.
Okay. Okay. And no Mateus Uribe too, but he'd be on the bench as well. I'm happy with your lineup. I was gonna say that we're just basically gonna repeat the lineup from last week.
Actually, no, I take that back. Instead of Edson, I'll put Mateus Uribe next to Guido.
Okay. That
Yeah,
makes
yeah,
sense.
I'll stick with that. Yeah,
So then that's pretty
yeah, that
much
makes more sense.
I'm going with the same thing. And then that should be more than enough to get us a W against Puebla.
I mean, but you know how things are gonna go. Everybody does their best against America, and America somehow struggles still to
To win the
do their
easy games,
thing.
correct?
Yeah. So I mean, yeah. So I'm just.
How is it that we
But no,
struggle to win the easy games and still struggle to win the hard games? I mean, it makes no sense to me.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, you struggle to win the hard games, and it seems like America gets some praise. I'm like, oh, they put up a good game, they did this, and then like you go against the teams that are supposed to beat easily, and then you see them struggle, and like, oh, woes for America. America's not playing good. I don't know, man. It happens. It
But it
happens,
can't happen no more. And Friday should be the
No,
turning
I mean,
of this
yeah, I mean,
season.
it just can't happen no more. I mean, it's time to put to bed whatever mojo, whatever funk we're in, and just be like, hey, we're coming out and we're gonna do this.
We need to somehow sacrifice a goat, and that should kind of get all that bad mojo, juju, whatever, and we should be back to good.
Yeah,
So, Piojo Herrera, before you leave the Estadio Azteca on when would they travel? I would imagine they would travel Thursday. I mean, Puebla's not even that far away from Mexico City, so I mean, I would imagine they could leave on Friday too from the bus.
yeah,
So I mean,
that's
I
true.
don't really know how the travel things go, but still, sacrifice that goat and get that 3 points in the Estadio Cuauhtémoc. I mean, it's got to be that simple. I mean, maybe not the goat part, but actually going out there and winning. It's ridiculous that we have to kind of keep urging this side to do so. I mean, how hard can it be to kind of cement that into the player's mind that boys, you're running out of time. It's now or never. We have to cement our position in the Liga. And it starts with this Puebla match. Because hey, guess what? Next week, the following week, we're closing the game. We're closing the season against Santos, who is second place, by the way, and who was in first place for a very long time. And that game is not going to be any easier than any other game we've played.
No, I don't think they'll have the Janny either, will they? I think he's still out.
Yeah,
And so
yeah,
yeah,
I
and
think so
so
too.
yeah,
Oh
yeah. So
man, we'll probably have Menes back, which is the good news. I've read a couple reports saying that the Frenchman is expected to come back on Friday. He most likely will ride the bench though.
yeah, I don't. I can't really see him starting. I mean, if he starts, I mean, like he'll probably get out by the half. But
Yep.
but I mean, like I said, like we said, we don't really see him starting, and I really don't think he should because, like I said, it's been about a month since he's really played. So I mean,
Wow, a month already without Jeremy Menes. Can you imagine what it's gonna be like now with Cecilio Dominguez and Henry Martin missing out for approximately the same time?
yeah, I think so. I mean, even if they come back, they should be pretty close to the Liga. Maybe miss the first leg, come back to second leg.
Wow, we're really gonna need all our players to step it up. Now, worst case scenario is America loses his matchup. Do we start calling for heads? Do we start calling for Piojo's heads?
Oh man, I mean, I don't know if you want to call for Bio's head, but I mean, I think the panic button should be pushed a bunch of times.
Because I've seen this, and our good friend Christian here brings it up that there's been a couple of people on Twitter, that are already aiming themselves at, Piojo Herrera's throat, wherever Cristante found it. It's true. You see this. There's a lot of fans out there that are already calling for Piojo Herrera to kind of walk away from this team if he does not get the result. If Piojo Herrera does not walk away this season as a champion, do we fire him?
I mean, the last stint, he only won one championship with America, and that was the Clausura. And all those other times, he ran into semifinal losses.
And one final loss against Leon,
And one final loss, yeah.
Very
I mean,
embarrassing.
yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you see what he does with the team we had in Apertura too as well. I mean, I think you could say then that people were saying that there wasn't no depth. He still managed to make the Liga. You finished top three with the team that is. I mean, yeah, I mean, despite the fact that the way you exit the Liga, the way you end the Apertura, I mean, you see what Herrera can do too in his first stint. He works his magic. It's just there's a lot of more questionable calls and some questionable stuff that he does around this time than he did. I guess you could say in his first stint. But I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think so. I don't.
So
I
no.
feel like nah, no. I would say no, not for me. No.
Uh, a lot of people are saying yes. A lot of people on Twitter are saying yes. And I kind of want to talk to those. I kind of want to address to those people right now who are listening to this and would call for Pio Herrera's head if he was not to win a championship this season. It's this simple. We cannot throw away a process for a bad campaign. As much as we would want to, let's be honest, there's only a handful of people that would make this team better than Pio Herrera, or as good as Pio Herrera's. And let's be honest, they're not available right now. Because let me tell you the truth. If we get rid of Pio Herrera at the end of the season, guess what? Guess who's gonna come? It's gonna be Ruben Roman Romano.
Yeah.
You don't want him to come back.
No.
No. You don't want that cycle. Believe me, if we get rid of Pio Herrera, we are not gonna get a suitable manager to take his place. It's not gonna be that simple. They're not out there. I don't think Carlos Ancelotti is willing to come down to Mexico and try his luck over here. So it's just there's only a handful of coaches that could possibly come. And I know a lot of people are worried, like, well, either way, he's going to leave to the Mexican national team. We don't know that. We don't know that the Mexican national team even is thinking of Pio Herrera. What if they're thinking of Carlos Ancelotti?
Mm-hmm.
And Pio Herrera said himself, his mind, his goal is not to go to the Mexican national team right now. It's to fully focus on America, and it's to kind of ride and kind of be, champions, kind of be the Fergie of Club America in a sense. He wants to be here for a long time, and he wants to win plenty of titles. And look, Pio Herrera is a player that has kind of this characteristic that he has a tenacity to kind of get back what he lost. In a sense, if he does not win anything this season, he's gonna come at it even harder the next season because he wants that. That's his character. That's who he is, and that's actually a good thing. That's actually something that you want in a manager. Someone that kind of doesn't kind of just ride and said, okay, well, it wasn't my season. We'll give it a go again next season. No, he's the type of player, that type of manager that will be like, what, it wasn't my season? Okay, well, next year it will be because I'm gonna make it my season. And that's kind of a good attitude to have going forward. He knows how embarrassing Conca Champions was. Guess what? He wants to get to a final so he can go back into the Conca Champions and right his wrongs.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we should be so early to push that. Yes, let's get rid of Piojo button because give me three names that will definitely come into this America side and make it even better than what Piojo Herrera could do. There's not much players out there. There's a worry that he could go back to the national team, but I don't think it's gonna be that easy for him to go, and I doubt the federation is gonna want him back so soon.
Yeah, and the Federation too is worried about the World Cup right now and what JCO is going to do with the team too and how far it takes the team. And obviously, there has been some spots that the Federation gave JCO an extension, but JCO hasn't taken it because he's thinking about leaving too. He's not for sure yet. He's waiting for the outcome to see how.
He's leaving. He's leaving.
Yeah.
We have put him through so much stuff. The man can at least deliver something and just walk away from this. Because I feel bad because I've given him a hard time too, but we're just ruthless sometimes.
Yeah, I don't know, but he's still waiting to see how the outcome comes too, of what how the World Cup ends too for Mexico. But at the end of the day, like you said, name three managers who can really take over America, and he don't really name nobody. And so, like I said too, you see what Piojo did with the team. in the Apertura, with not much depth. And you see what the team did here too. It's just that you don't have those reinforcements too, like you do in the striker position and left back position. And at the end of the day, Piojo's that guy, and Piojo will always be that guy to me, no matter what.
Yeah, look, like I said, this is a process. The process takes
Hmm.
time, and along that time, you're supposed to win championships. Yes, but you can't be so quick to kind of pull the trigger. It's not that simple. We want structure. Like I mentioned, I love that word when it comes to the sense of football. We want that structure, but guess what? And before there's structure, there has to be a foundation. And Piojo
Yeah,
needs to be that foundation. He needs to be that person that builds the structure. He's done that so well. I see a couple of these players being very crucial in the Piojo Herrera age that's to come, and I think that in order to achieve this structure, we kind of have to make sure that we kind of keep this kind of movement going forward. As much as we will not like this ugly football, it will get better with time if we allow to give it, and if we allow to grow and we give it the time. Let's not be so kind of worrisome and get ready to get rid of him, because let's face it, there'll be a lot of America fans who are angry that we did not win anything. But hey, that's just soccer sometimes. And we kind of have to, pick ourselves up and keep going at it again. But we can't get rid of Piojo that easy. As much as sometimes we think he's very doubtful, he is the man to kind of lead us forward. And if we throw him away, then we're just making the same mistake we've made for so many years now. And that is interrupting the process of the managers that are to come. And there's been plenty of times where we could have had a very, very good run, but we cut it short because of a bad season. Can't do that just yet. It's a bad season, yes, I get that, but there's been very positive things to go on. And if we kind of get rid of Piojo at this point of the stage, then we can say goodbye to that process, and we can definitely say goodbye to that structure, because guess what? The next manager, he may not even be so lucky to be here for a whole year if things don't go his way.
yeah, exactly. So I mean, um, obviously these positions need to be addressed too. With like the striker reinforcement, getting a true left back too. And, those I feel like will definitely be a big change in the lineup too, and how Piojo structures the lineup too as well, and who he's going to field and who will come off the bench if needed too as well. So I mean, at the end of the day too, man. I mean, some things have improved. I mean, yeah, it sucks to see that it seems like it's going to be a repeat of the Apertura. I mean, that's how it's looking too so far. But at the end of the day, things have improved and things have gotten a little better. It just gotta take a day, season by season, day by day. It seems like.
I agree with you. I completely agree with you. All right, let's wrap this up with prediction. Give me your prediction for Friday.
I'll go 1-0. Medical win.
Wow, I'm going with the same result. 1-0 America win. It's not gonna be easy, and we're gonna come back next Tuesday and we're gonna talk so much about this offense. So much. So that does it for that. Let's give just a quick little shout out to the women's team who are playing today against Tigres at the Volcan. What do you think?
I feel like they're gonna walk out with a 2-1 win. Last time I checked the score, Tigres has scored, so it's 1-0 right now for Tigres, and I feel like Cuevas will get her brace. Cuevas is obviously the leading goal scorer in both the Apertura and Clausura, so she's definitely gonna have an impact on the game.
Come on, you ladies. I know you guys can bring that title back to the Estadio Azteca. That's going to look very nice in the trophy cabinet. So come on, girls. You guys can do it. And even a 1-0 loss, it's still manageable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, still very manageable too as well.
So make sure you guys go out there and support the ladies. Make sure you guys tweet hashtag. What's a good hashtag to tweet for them?
Aguilas Ingles Fem. I don't
I'm
know.
just gonna go hashtag Aguilas ladies. Lady Aguila. There you go. There you go. So go support your love and tweet out hashtag Lady Aguilas. So I'm about to do that right now, and so you guys can kind of keep the trend going. But make sure you guys do support these girls, because they're doing wonderful things, and they deserve just as much of a platform as we do. We as in the men's team. So hashtag Lady Aguilas and show your support for the women's team because I have a feeling they're gonna make it. I have a feeling they're gonna go out there and they're gonna make history.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and they're gonna match Chivas too for one title each apiece. And so, I mean, and then next season, probably bigger and better things too, which I'm hoping for.
Definitely, definitely. Hopefully, one day we actually get to see these teams get broadcasted live in the United States, which would be really cool.
Yeah, yeah. Hopefully they do.
So the game is growing, the podcast is growing, and the women's final cannot be Chivas America Israel because Dylan, do you want to tell them why?
Chivas didn't make it.
Chivas
Chivas
did
did
not
not make it into
make
the
the playoffs.
playoffs, so
Look at
they
that.
can't
The
even
reigning
defend the
champions
title. Yeah.
didn't make it to the playoffs. Which leads me on to one last question before we kind of wrap up this podcast. We're going a bit over the hour mark. Tomorrow's obviously CCL. A lot of people, even at work, a lot of people have been asking me, are we gonna go? Are we rooting for Chivas tomorrow? Or are we gonna kind of support our rivals? What's your answer in this one?
No, I don't think so, man. I mean, I
No?
don't think we can support a rival.
No. And when they asked me this question, I was just sincere. And I told them, look, my answer is completely hells no. We are not going to go for our rivals. I don't care if they are representing Mexico. I would rather take an L for Mexico than support our rivals. So no, it's that simple. Hopefully that doesn't come back to bite us in the ass. But no, of course not. We're come on. You really gonna ask an Americanista by heart if he's gonna go for Chivas? In no way, in no situation have I ever gone for them. Even when they've gone into the Copa Libertadores final, I think, or was it? I don't even know. But I was never and never will be on their side. So I think that kind of wraps it up. Me and Dylan are both on that same boat as money as a lot of you guys are as well. So without that, it's been episode 16. Thank you to everyone who has come out and supported us on the live chat. Thanks to everyone who has followed us. We are at that 200 follower mark. Remember, all you need to do to enter into this contest is follow us on Twitter. And if you don't know where to follow us on Twitter, Dylan, where can they find us?
At Eagle Eye Pod on Twitter.
That is right, at Eagle Eye Pod. That is all together at Eagle Eye Pod. Thank you again. Make sure you guys do follow us on SoundCloud and iTunes because you guys can take us on the go. It's been very productive. It's been very fun. And as always, Dylan, thank you so much for coming out and making this podcast a reality.
No problem, man. I mean, without you too, man, it was really possible too. And thanks to all the fans support us too. We got the big contest coming up, so go follow us and maybe you'll be lucky and win.
So that's right. For you guys who don't know, we are going to be giving away a phone case, whether it be iPhone, Android, whatever phone you may have. Heck, if you still have one of those flip phones, we will find you a case. It doesn't matter. We will get you that case. I promise you. Okay, we'll get you that case, and of course, as always, we'll be giving away a scarf. Thanks to all of you who have supported us, and we will keep this growing as a community, and most importantly, as a family of Americanistas. So thank you again for following us. Thank you again for coming out. And thank you again to every single one of you guys who are listening. Until next time, it's been your boy Ivan and Dylan for the Eagle Eye Podcast, episode 16. Arriba la America. And until next time, take care, guys. Bye-bye.